Hello, my name is Sean Ennis from Ennis Management, and thank you for joining me today on the Creative Collective. And today I'm honored to be joined by a very special guest. He's a songwriter and recording artist from Marietta, north side of Atlanta, Georgia, Darius TheGreat.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, talk to me about the music scene in Atlanta.
The music scene in Atlanta is very, very lively right now. It's kind of held that position as the it market for music for the last few years, a lot longer than honestly I think people actually expected. And that just goes to the fact that we network very well down here. A lot of artists, a lot of industry insiders. You know, the networking scene is very, very strong. You don't have much hating back and forth between one another like you can see in other markets. So I think that's what's allowed us to hold the torch for so long. And, it's good to see that as far as the networking aspect. I would say material-wise, that's where it gets a little foggy for me. I feel like it could be a lot more diverse than what it is currently. But again, everyone networks so well, it just allows them to constantly, stay at that top position.
Yeah, I think the whole music industry has definitely been forced to take note of how well artists in Atlanta and Georgia as a whole work together and collaborate. You have a lot of the veteran artists really going back and doing features and working with brand new artists to help bring a light to their career, and it's certainly been a huge impact in sustaining this run that South music and Atlanta music has been able to dominate the music landscape for this long.
Oh yeah, agreed upon. And they keep it going with that networking, and artists will link up at these multiple studios that we have down here, and just you're dropping features with this guy's dropping features with that guy, and before you know it, somebody or some song is gonna pop, and hey, it just benefits everybody that's in the circle. So the rest of the game and regions of the country could definitely learn and take a page out of that. If they want it back, they want to start working together,
Now talk to me about how you got your start in music.
Yeah, so early on, it was more of a interest and a way to express myself, almost just an expression hobby. And then it turned into me just really taking it serious and having a strong passion for it. And it got serious about 2001 when I actually encountered a man named Keyshia Cole, who ended up ultimately being one of my group members, and we formed a group called Seaside. And from there, man, we had some very great local success on the Marietta region, north of Atlanta. We took that success and we just kept going forward, and ultimately he was able to obtain a national deal through a song created called My Space Freak, and the rest was history.
Now, what music or artists have influenced you?
So yeah, I have a lot of deep Chicago roots as well, just to throw that out there. So some of my favorite artists are individuals like Twista. I definitely took a lot of inspiration from the group Do or Die. Also out of Cleveland, Bone Thugs and Harmony. I also definitely took a lot from Jay-Z, or learned a lot from Jay-Z. Nas is definitely high on the list with his concepts and his subject matter. Yeah, those are the individuals that I really took a lot of inspiration from.
What genre of music do you consider your work to be, and how would you describe your music?
Yeah, so my music is definitely a little different than the norm, but you will have a lot of the norm in it. So it's like it doesn't force feed my message at all. It kind of just, you know, gradually brings you along in a way that you'll enjoy yourself along the way while learning. So I like to call it conscious trap every now and then. Obviously, that's not a actual genre, but that's what I call it. But I'll put it in definitely like the hip hop rap category. I mean, I can also sing as well, so you'll hear me doing a lot of singing on certain hooks and things of that nature, or even in between verses. I like to mix it up a lot. So yeah, that's what I would classify my music as.
And that's really interesting because right now, you know, trap music has so much popularity and such an audience. Can you talk about why, instead of just only doing trap music, you felt it was important to really infuse a message and blend conscious with trap?
Most definitely. I feel like I come from an era where I came upon people like Tupac, you know, Talib Kweli, Tribe Called Quest, these individuals that were really, really on that vibe. And you know, I was able to appreciate it and appreciate them for what they brought. Today, there's a lot of barrier in between those kind of rappers and the listeners of the mainstream. So I felt like, hey, let me not abandon what mainstream trap sounds like, because I don't want to abandon those fans. I don't want to abandon the majority. I want to reach all of them just so I can educate them as well. So I incorporate a lot of conscious material and vibes along with that kind of sound, so that I don't turn off that mainstream listener, and I can also appease that strong hip hop listener that is like just so tired of what's going on right now. It's like bringing the two together. Like my shows would consist of individuals that probably would not go to the same show, but they will with me, you know, ultimately is what I'm saying. And I think overall it's just about reaching more people and broadening their whole horizon and showing them things that they would have never honestly took the time to listen to if it wasn't packaged in the way that I package it.
Now, can you talk about some of the themes and topics that you cover in your music?
Yes, definitely. So I do a lot of talking about Moorish empires. I do a lot of talking about America and who minorities were actually when it comes to this country. I believe that a lot of history was taught just in a nutshell, just a lying form for controlling purposes. And I think that when, you know, just through the history that I've done, I've learned that, you know, certain groups of people were actually not only already here, but very vital to the growth of the land. And when the history is taught in backwards form or just flat out lie, you know, it does a disservice to those individuals, because that's how they see themselves when they look at history. But when you find out that, hey, this didn't go exactly how my history teacher told me, you begin to feel a little bit more empowered. You feel more relevant. You feel more meaningful to society, as opposed to how I would say government intel would want you to feel. So I just kind of highlight those things a lot tremendously in my music right now. And again, I do it in a way to where it can be received amongst the masses and not, everybody getting all freaking out like, whoa, is he saying too much? Well, I might be, but you're not going to catch it off the rip like that, So.
Now that's really interesting. Now that's really interesting because it's sort of the way that you're using music is really how hip hop was originally used, right? There was a lot of message and a lot of teaching originally in hip hop, and now it's really shifted to solely an entertainment vehicle. So that's really interesting that you're using music in that way.
Correct. And again, I actually was able to catch some of that wave that you're just referring to, which is the reason why I feel like it's a duty of mine to help bring that back. I have nothing wrong with party music and all that stuff because that was there as well too. But again, when we talk about true hip hop and the individuals that really took it to that next level, there was a lot of messages in there, and there's things that still go on today socially that I just feel like shouldn't be ignored. And what better way than to use the musical tool, the same tool that I learned a lot coming up from. So I just look at it as a duty of mine.
Could you briefly describe the music making process?
Oh, yeah. So, and I'll have a lot of these things on my social medias coming up soon, as far as like some live in studio work sessions. But with me, it's some of the greatest process that you could ever see. I mean, I love it. I enjoy it. I enjoy what I do. One thing about me, if I feel like it's a hard task going on, I'll just stop the whole session because I feel like everything should be free flowing and just natural. So very rarely do I use any pen or pads or things of that nature. I'm more of a just creator in that sense. Like I just like to hear the track, and then from there I'll come up with the chorus usually first, and I'll kind of analyze. Okay, where do I want to go with this? What concept do I want to bring to the forefront? What things do I feel like the people need to be hearing about? And I'll make that decision, and I'll make the chorus. Now, the chorus actually may be a little bit more mainstream sounding, just to quote unquote hook them in. It's the hook. I get a little bit more educational as the song goes along, and I'll throw things in on the verses. Again, sometimes I'll even just do a little 4 bars. I'll stop, come out, get some more energy going, go back in and get the next in there. And then ultimately go back and do the whole thing so that it sounds, very fluent in its presentation. It's a real fun process, and again, I'm going to be putting that up and showing the people how I operate when I'm in the studio.
Now let's talk about your single, Nike Check. Can you talk to me about the creation process and then also some of the themes and topics that you cover on this record? Yes. So the creation process with that was I had got a tremendous bass-driven, hard trap-sounding beat from longtime friend and producer Hit James. Hit James actually co-wrote and produced MySpace Freak with me as well when I was with the group Seaside. So we have a good long-standing relationship. So once he sent over that track, man, I went ballistic off the rip. I was like, wow. From that point on, I just took that initial straight energy that I was hearing from that track, and I matched it with the chorus. And again, you guys will get a chance to hear that. Again, just like the process I just talked about, I went to that verse, and I was like, yo, I got to really
because I gave him a lot of sauce on the hook. So I'm like, yo, I got to really give him some knowledge intertwined on this verse here. And that's what I did. I talked about a lot of things such as history being told in backwards form. I talked about the current state of the prison system in America and how it's almost like a replacement of slavery, so to speak. When you look at the numbers, as far as minority to majority ratio within the prison system, and really just what that whole system was even put into place for, and what certain terms are, and how that actually is code words for like us as a people or a group of people. Just highlighting those things, because that's stuff that they're not going to teach you that in the high schools. They're not going to teach you that in your history class. These are things that they really don't even want you to be knowing like that, because it's in place for a reason. So I feel that if we highlight those things through having fun music, subconsciously it'll enter your mind frame, and you'll be able to maneuver in life a whole lot better than what the higher realm would want you to. So I definitely touch on that. And I also just have a lot of fun on the song as well. You know what I'm saying? It's just, again, it's the classic, marriage between being conscious and trap vibe.
Now, talk to me about your experience in the group Seaside, how you got involved in the group, came together, and some of the things that you guys accomplished together.
Okay, great. So I had a chance meeting with my then group member, soon to be group member at the time, named Keyshia Cole. We kind of met at a local bus stop on the north side of Atlanta, and had a small conversation. He was like, "Hey man, do you rap?" I was like, "As a matter of fact, I do." This is our first time meeting each other, and he said, "Oh well, I got this studio here. Come check it out." And I definitely did that, being a new kid in the town at the time, and definitely wanted somewhere to get that energy out. And it was great, man. We began creating. I met some of the other guys, and ultimately I was put into the group called Seaside. That's C-SIDE. We had some great local success, doing a lot of show venues at these local clubs around the area. And that turned into the digital phase of music coming in. And, I kind of recognized that more so than the others, as well as my boy Hit James, producer. And we came up with the concept MySpace Freak, because at the time MySpace was very huge. It was just hitting the market. Everybody had a page. So I came up with that song like, hey, if I make this song, which is almost like an anthem for what everybody's already doing right now, I think we will gain a lot of traction. And literally, that, like, how I thought it in my brain is exactly how it happened. We made that song, and literally the next night, it was like it was everybody's default song on their page. Like, just random people had the song as their default song on their page. Now, mind you, this is well before the streaming, and streams were even counted, before all of that. So it's like, that song actually did a lot more than what history can actually even show, because there was no way of recording that data at the time. Like, we were really just ahead of the game. But it opened up so many doors in that sense to how people attack music and just use social media as topics within song form to gain notoriety. And to be a part of something like that, man, to be like the first song to do that, it's very pleasing on my end to say that I was part of that. We also had a song called Boyfriend Girlfriend featuring Keyshia Cole, and that actually charted on top 40 billboard charts. the major music television shows at the time. That group, a lot of touring, just a lot of fun, a lot of memorable experiences that allowed me to turn into the artist that I am today. So I wouldn't change any of that for anything.
Wow, that's a tremendous experience being able to contribute in kind of the beginning of the digital age in music. So I want to get your thoughts and opinion on the music industry going from physical cassettes and CDs and into the digital age of streaming music that we're currently in.
Oh, definitely. I believe there's a lot of pros and cons with it. Me personally, there's a lot more pros to where it is now that I appreciate. But I do feel like there are things that the listener and the consumer kind of gets robbed of because of the digital phase coming in. So it's like back in the day, we used to go to the store and grab CDs. Like when Jay-Z's album was coming out, like we were all crazy about it. We would rush to the nearest Sam Goody or Tower Records store just to get in line to get that. Like all of that is an experience that, you know, that just resonates with you down the road. You know, that these individuals today don't have to go through. And I feel like that you are robbing yourself from the experience when you think of it in that sense. I used to, obviously as an artist, an aspiring artist at the time, I used to love reading the credits, the back of the CDs, the inside of the booklet. You know, it's just something you can't replace when it comes to that physical interaction and the whole process of purchasing a CD. You know, even if it was out of the trunk or whatever, it's just like, you know, the graphics on it, that you seeing it right there in your face. Like, you know, I believe that in a sense you don't have that no more, and I think that's kind of messed up. But again, you know, we have to evolve. The world changes every day, and this is where we are with the digital phase. So the great thing about that, especially for the artists, is the fact that we don't have to wait anymore. We can go through our own selection process, put it through the process, and give it to individuals that we actually cherish their viewpoints on, see what they think about it before we put it out. We don't have to wait on labels to sign us or tell us that we're good enough or not good enough. And, you know, we can just figure it out on our own and put it out to the masses on our own to see what happens. I think it's a great thing. I believe the ownership that they give us nowadays that they didn't give us back in those CD days is definitely a tremendous growth in the industry, because obviously before, I mean, you probably know as well as anybody, I mean, so many artists got get over on publishing and royalties and just the whole nine, bro. And, you know, to where these kids nowadays and the artists of today, you know, it's just almost unheard of to get done wrong. You know, there's so much information out there, and these distributing companies, they give you so much of your royalties up front going in. I mean, the respect for the artist is definitely there now where it wasn't before. So, you know, that's kind of the difference of the two eras. And I feel like ultimately, I think the new one kind of outweighs the old in a more positive manner, just off of the artist ownership alone, you know.
So you're a musician who writes music for other artists. Can you talk about the motivation behind doing that?
Most definitely. For starters, I would say the financial gain, because if I'm going to work with another artist, it's definitely going to be some financial gain that's going to be obtained. But beyond that, I just love the creative process of it. I love watching words that I come up with for another artist turn into a hit record. at least for me, what I do is I like to, if it's going to be the first time I work with this individual, guy or girl, I like to kind of get a lot of background on that particular artist and use that as ammunition for when I go ahead and write the record that I'm going to pitch to them. And, you know, usually I get great feedback from it. I'm like, oh, wow, you really put that in there. You know me, like, you know, and it's a job, you know, in that sense. When I put on the writing hat, that is my job. I'm not trying to be the artist or try to outdo this artist right here. No, I'm working for them at this point. So I want to just highlight who they are, what they want to bring to the table, and ultimately I just take that, put it into the material, and hope that they bite on it, because if so, it's going to be a nice check for me in the long run and up front.
Can you share your music career goals?
Most definitely. A couple of goals that I have is to, as an artist, just achieve bridging the gap between the mainstream listener and the hip-hop conscious rap lover. You know, I want to bridge that gap. I want that to come together, and ultimately both sides respecting one another. I just want to see that, just personally. Also, I wouldn't mind getting recognized on a higher level for what I bring to the table, whether that be through just mentions from some of the people that I grew up idolizing, and, you know, it's kind of pleasing now. I'm not worried too much about awards and whatnot, because none of that matters to me at all. So as long as I can achieve success and appreciation from my peers, I'm totally happy with that.
Now, what's a piece of advice that you could give to an aspiring musician or a musician just starting out in their music career?
I would definitely say that with an individual starting out in their career, just focus on what you want to do. Focus on what your message is going to be, and stick to it. Don't sway from it. If other people want to chime in and say, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing that," well, no, that doesn't matter. You know, you got to stick to what you feel in your heart is what you should be doing, and become the best at that. Now, you can take constructive criticism on you trying to do that. That's fine, but don't let nobody get you off of your path, and just stay true to yourself. Definitely use the fact that the digital platforms are there for us. Use that to your advantage. Get with a good distribution company, one that you trust and one that pays out properly, and, you know, do your research on those, because there's a lot of them out there. Some are better than others. So definitely just research. You know, we live in an information age. Everything's right there on the internet. It's a Google search away. So just take the time to research anything that you're getting yourself involved in, so that you can ultimately maximize in the best possible way every step forward. And I think you should be good at that point. I'll also say definitely work on your presentation as far as stage presence. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of artists nowadays kind of lack that, like, because they're so focused on the online presence and whatnot. Like, they forget that, hey, you do have to be an image person. Like, you do have to have somebody that, you have to be an image. Like, you have to want to be seen. So, you know, definitely have your image together and what have you. Whatever that may be. It may be some wild, crazy hair or a wild way of dressing, whatever. As long as it fits within the grand scheme of your message, I think you'll be all right.
Can you share your social media links?
Sure, most definitely. So my Twitter page is @King_Darius. That's the number 1, STKING_DARIUS. My Instagram is King_Darius first. That's KING_DARIUS1ST. And you can also check me out on my Facebook fan page, which is KingDarius TheGreat.
Is there anyone you'd like to acknowledge for offering you financial or emotional support in your music career?
Financial, not many at all. But definitely emotional support. I definitely credit my parents on that. My mom, to single her out, she's definitely been very supportive from day one on my music, which, I think that's a luxury to have, because a lot of parents they could care less about your kid trying to be a rapper until the money comes in, and then they all want to say, "Oh yeah, we knew it." But nah, she was supportive from day one. Definitely would shout out my producer that I mentioned a couple times, Hit James. He's also known as DJ Bricks. So definitely him. He's been with me every step of the way as well on the music. We've always collabed and just vibed very heavily together. So definitely owe him a kudos. Beyond that, man, we keep the circle small and tight right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of support otherwise, but just on the inner circle area, we keep it kind of tight knit right now. Shout out to the Big Three as well. My homeboy Brim and Mike Jordan, 2 talented artists out here in Marietta as well. Just definitely want to acknowledge them. We have a project called the Big Three, where 3 solo artists came together just for a project, and we got some great songs on there. You can check that out. That's actually on all digital platforms right now. So just want to throw that out there as well.
All right, I would like to give a very big thank you to my guests for joining me here today on the Creative Collective. As always, write your comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. And for all of your promotion, marketing, and music career consulting needs, email ennisproductions@gmail.com.